Good evening and welcome to MBA Wala English Medium. So I did meet quite a few people in our last in fact in the last batch where they wanted me to speak in English, but then all the batches that we had so far were essentially English batches. We went ahead and said that okay, we are going to have English exclusive batches eventually, and this channel was the first step in that process. Now I went on to upload a session on this channel a few days ago. In that channel, I went ahead and talked about a detailed 100-day plan. Of course, it happened exactly 7 days ago. We have 93 days to go as on today. But then there were some of you who reached out and you wanted to know more about certain aspects of this plan. And therefore, I wanted to come out live so that we can go ahead and talk about all the concerns that you had while reviewing that particular approach, that particular strategy. So any questions, any issues, any concerns, anything that has been that bothers you and that you want to talk about, please make sure that you go ahead and put that in the chat down below. Okay, so at the end of the day, when I talk about preparation, I say that there are 4 distinct steps to that preparation. So whenever you start, you'd probably go ahead and look at one of those 4. So the very first thing is the foundation. Then you figure out the syllabus. Thereafter, you go ahead and check yourself. You figure out the syllabus, you finish it, but then you also need to stand in front of a mirror. The mirrors tell you where you stand and what aspect, what areas you need to go ahead and work on further, and then on the basis of that feedback, you go ahead and take some effective corrective action. I know that's quite a mouthful, and probably it is things like these that made you ask about certain specific aspects of the preparation, and that's exactly why we are together here in this session. Parth, Ruby, how are you guys doing? Ruby, you know that you are on MBA Wala English Medium. So when I meet you on that other channel called MBA Wala, we obviously use a generous dose of Hindi, at times exclusive Hindi, and I have gone on to use some very difficult Hindi words on that channel, but not on this channel. The whole purpose of the existence of this channel is to help those who struggle to understand Hindi, and therefore not here, but on the other channel, why not? So if you happen to have any question, any concern, please go ahead, ask that, and I would love to help you with it. So Parth, okay, recorded, not accustomed to live. Should I try to watch things live? See, the thing about live sessions is that whenever you have a doubt or a concern, you can ask it then and there, and most of the times it gets resolved. Of course, in my case, we know that there is also a Telegram group where you can go raise the question and I get back to you there as well. But there you go. But then there is this one tiny advantage of recorded lectures. You can always watch them at 1.5x, 2x, and that can make things really faster for you. So let's go ahead and talk about this then. So these 4 steps broken down into weeks for VARC. So when it comes to VARC, by now, if you've been working with me, you know that I go on to divide it into 5 distinct modules, and I personally prefer that you work on each one of these 5 modules. Now, you may look at things like grammar and vocabulary and wonder if they are required for the CAT exam, or for that matter, you may even look at something like verbal reasoning and wonder if that is required for the CAT exam. But then the truth is, it's a pyramid. So it's the top of the pyramid that typically gets tested in various exams, particularly in the CAT. So when we talk about the CAT exam, we basically have what? VARC. But then, because it is a pyramid, it tells you that the areas that are below are the ones that are required to perform well in the above 2 areas as well. So I know, yes, there are a lot of people around who want to put in the minimal amount of effort in order to get in, but the truth is, these exams have a tendency to isolate people who are really strong conceptually, really strong at the basics, the foundations, and therefore I'd recommend that you prepare more holistically. So Ansh has a question. Okay, scores getting declined in mocks. Okay. So Ansh, we can go ahead and talk about it in the group. Make sure that you do put in your concerns there, and I would love to dive into those there. Right? And since you've specifically mentioned about accuracy, I created a video which talks about how to increase your marks in VARC, where I did go ahead and talk about accuracy specifically. It is there on the other channels at the moment. I'll probably bring it over here as well, but since you've typed initially in Hindi, I think you can go to the other channel and watch it, and even that will work. Okay. 71.23% is good percentile. Oh, your accuracy can't be a percentile. Your accuracy has to be a percent. Seriously. So, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So, the verbal reasoning bit is the foundation for the entire section. Anybody who's weak at critical reasoning, has not developed critical thinking ability, is an individual who will actually go ahead and suffer and struggle. So make sure that you do take at least the critical reasoning part seriously, even if you're targeting just the CAT exam. Then there are all these vocabulary based questions, a lot of other management entrance tests, but then vocabulary is also quite useful in RC and VA. So that's a knowledge based area. So is grammar, and therefore it's good to spend some amount of time on these two every day. And then of course we add RC, which is a skill based area, and then VA, which is more or less a technique based area. So this is the composition, and let us see how you can go ahead and do that. Chances are that most of you are already at an advanced stage, considering that there are just 3 months left. So the first week, the first couple of weeks now we actually have, I typically recommend that you read and then you practice passages, you go through VA, you also put in efforts on verbal reasoning. Alongside that, you work on vocabulary and grammar. Now, week 1 of this plan is already gone, but then if you have already been working on your CAT preparation, chances are that you've already gone ahead and done a fair bit here. Okay. So, Ruby, what kind of question would that be? Why would you get, why are you targeting 80 percentile? I mean, you don't really get all those colleges that we dream of at 80 percentile. Those colleges, good colleges, would typically start happening after, say, 93 percentile. And if we are targeting, we should target 99 plus. You know, at 80 percentile, IIMs will not even shortlist us. Remember, they've told us that you need to get, if you're a general category or an EWS category student, they want you to have 95 percentile overall with at least 85 percentile in each section. In fact, Mumbai came in later and said that, you want 95 percentile overall, we'd say 95 percentile in each section. Okay, so let's dream big at least. So this is the plan. Now let me just go ahead and refine it a bit. So when I say reading, you are supposed to read something that challenges you. Okay, so it should be challenging for you, and it is very subjective. So my way of figuring out whether something is challenging for me or not is, am I able to understand around 70-80% of it? If yes, then it is adequately challenging. In case I'm able to understand almost all of it, it is very easy for me. In case I'm able to understand, say, only 50% of it is very difficult for me. So the sweet spot is where you are able to understand around 70-80% of the stuff, and the remaining 20-30% is what challenges you. So that will push you a little out of your comfort zone, but it won't be so out of your comfort zone that you lose the thread of the passage completely. Okay, so that's how you'd go ahead and look at it. When I say 10 RC passages every week, in case you've already started your preparation, let's say you've already been working on it for a couple of months now. In that case, you can increase this number straight away. But if you're still, if these are still early days for you, 10 should work. So I typically divide them into 2 groups, 6 plus 4. So 6 days of the week, you attempt 1 passage every day. And on the 7th day, whichever day that may be for you, you sit down and attempt 4 RC passages in one go, in a single seating. Then start working on verbal ability. After that, you work on verbal reasoning and then vocabulary and grammar. I will go ahead and create sessions on these things for this channel. Until then, just to give you a quick recap when it comes to vocabulary, pick up any source, any resource that you're comfortable with, and make sure that you spend 15 to 30 minutes learning new words. Same goes for grammar. Pick up any basic book of grammar which was written for high school students. So something like Renan Martin, something like S.P. Bakshi, that would work, and you can go ahead and start using that now. Okay, and then what else? Grammar nahi kar raha, usse problem hogi CAT mein. Parth, if you're working with me, in fact I'll be taking another practice session in a little while, and you've noticed there are times when we solve parajumbles and I use grammar based clues to demystify the question, to figure out those sequences and mandatory pairs. So I believe absolutely yes, yeah, grammar can definitely help. And you're not targeting the IMs. Why would you do that? So which college are you targeting? Just drop it in the comment and then we'll see. So that's the first 2 weeks. Thereafter, when I talk about week 3 and 4, once again, reading for at least 25 minutes, 15 passages. Now in verbal reasoning, so we'll drop verbal ability for a brief while, but in verbal reasoning, you would want to go through inference-based questions. That's very important for us. From the perspective of B school exams, you need to ensure that your accuracy rate here is at least 80%, if not higher, along with the remaining question types. Okay, so identify the logical flaw, resolve the paradox, and the likes. So there are these 7 basic question types. Parth says GIM, TISS. Ruby was the one who said that she's not targeting IMs. Acha, RIM, Pune. Now I don't know. I'm a Punjabi, okay? So there is a Punjabi poet, Pash. There is a poem that he wrote where we had this line that said, "Sabse bura hota hai sapno ka mar jana." The English translation is that the worst thing that can happen to a man is when his dreams die. I don't think that's a college where that people really dream of normally, but over the years, I know every college is good, but then whether it is good for you or not is something that you are the best judge of. So we can perhaps pick it up later. Even in Pune, I can probably talk about a couple of colleges that are better than the one that you've written, but it's okay. So vocabulary, grammar, right? So we've just increased the number of RC passages. Okay. Parth, you are the best judge of that, yeah. I don't know how much time do you have. I don't know how much of the syllabus you've gone on to cover. So you're the best judge, frankly. And the plan that I'm sharing, I do want people to follow this plan for a month for sure. After that, depending upon how you are performing, what kind of colleges you're targeting, the kind of performance you have in mocks, that will of course help you customize the plan. We'll talk about that later. So that's your week 3 and 4. Afterwards, when it comes to week 5 and 6, reading will remain a constant, passages will remain a constant. But now that you're done with verbal reasoning, I'd recommend that you move over to verbal ability, start focusing on parajumbles, then vocabulary, and even now grammar. Now, if you're sticking around to around 15 pages every day, basically what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and read a grammar book twice. So reading a grammar book twice would typically mean going through 700 pages. And considering that you're reading at least 15 pages every day, how many days should that take you? Be my guest. So by around 6 weeks, you would have read it twice. So afterwards, from next week onwards, you can actually go ahead and drop it. But there is this one thing that you do need to now add, and that is one mock test every week along with an analysis of your performance in that mock. We already have a video up that talks about how to analyze mocks and how exactly to approach it. Make sure that you go ahead, go through this and then see. So Parth, in your case, I think you definitely have time. So you should go ahead and incorporate it. Although along with that, I'd recommend that you start increasing your frequency of mocks for sure. Okay. So that is that. Then moving over to the next week, 7 and 8. So from 7 and 8, I definitely want you to read non-fiction. Maybe you picked up and started reading non-fiction earlier, and that's okay. In case you did not move over to non-fiction so far, well, this is the week where you particularly start focusing on non-fiction, and that too from those areas that bother you. So by now you've gone through a lot of passages, you've also written a mock. So that will give you a rough idea of those areas that trouble you more. For example, a lot of people struggle with passages that are based on philosophy. There are people who may struggle with passages based on psychology. And depending upon your background, maybe science passages bother you, or economics passages bother you, or political theory passages bother you, whatever it is. The area or areas that bother you more, you start reading more of those areas. And here too, if that area happens to have its own specialized vocabulary, if that area uses a lot of jargon, then my general recommendation is to read an introductory book or two. Although now the timeline is very tight, so I don't know whether it is going to be that workable, particularly if you're starting now. But if you've already, like Parth, if you've finished your syllabus, then I'd suggest that you go ahead and pick up an introductory text of the area that bothers you. On the other hand, if the area that troubles you more does not have a lot of jargon, then simply increasing the amount of articles that you read from that area, well, that will also suffice. Okay, Ruby, let's just take it up. I mean, it's very unlike me and you to discuss career over YouTube. So we have a place where we interact with each other. There's a Telegram group. Go ahead, drop in there, and we can take this forward. So 15 RC passages every week. And in verbal ability now, I want you to move to going through paragraph odd one out and para completion. Give a week to each one of these areas. Go through the concepts, approach, practice at least around 30-35 questions, if not more, and then continue with vocabulary. Now you can drop out of grammar because you must have finished it by now, but then persist with writing one mock test every week. Then week 9-10, same with non-fiction, RC passages. Now that you've gone through the basics of the entire VARC section, you can start revising the concepts and approach of verbal reasoning during these 2 weeks. Put in some mixed bag practice. In case you're struggling with certain specific question types, still discuss those with your peers or with me, and then we can wrap it up. Then vocabulary for 15 to 30 minutes, and then increase the frequency of the mocks. So in these 2 weeks now, I would recommend that you go ahead and write 3 mocks, or target 3 mocks in these 2 weeks. Okay. Parth, I think I was not categorical enough. Do you have time to study grammar at this juncture? Absolutely yes. Considering that you're done with your syllabus, what are you doing? You're writing mocks, you're identifying areas that you're still struggling with, you are revising those and then mastering those areas. Alongside that, I mean, unless you are facing major issues in your mock percentiles, I would say that you definitely have time to work on grammar. But as I said, you know yourself best, you know your calendar the best. You need to prioritize and then deal with it accordingly. But if I were you, I don't think I would ignore grammar at all. Okay, then week 11 and 12, keep reading non-fiction, keep working on passages. Now in these 2 weeks, we go ahead and revise verbal ability, and across those 4 weeks, if I talk about week 9 to 12, I also want you to go ahead and review different question types of RC and then see if there is something that you need to do there as well. Okay, so then vocabulary is something that we do plan to continue, and that same pace, same frequency of writing the mocks. But once again, in case you are not a beginner, in case you're already like Parth and like quite a few others, if you've already done a significant part of the syllabus, I want this frequency to go up sooner. And as you move closer, maybe you'd start writing a mock every 3 days. Okay. And then moving over to week 13, which is a couple of weeks before the CAT exam, continue reading non-fiction. Now drop the number of RC passages down and instead add one section test in this week. Keep working on vocabulary and then write 2 mocks this week. Now in this section test, if you need to experiment or fine-tune your test taking strategy, you do it here and then apply that strategy to mocks to check whether it works or not. Okay, and then finally week 14, 7 days before the CAT exam, I think these 2 things will remain constant. Why is reading constant? Why are RC passages constant? See, at the end of the day, when it comes to RC, remember at the beginning I told you that it is a skill-based area. In skills, we need to practice every day. You've seen cricketers. Even a day before the match, they will go and spend some time in the nets. I have seen some T20 matches where I see a person who is next in line to go and bat. He would be practicing before he goes to the pitch because he knows that he needs to start hitting the ball straight away. And that's exactly what you need to do in the CAT. So when it comes to skills, if you rest, you rust. And that is not something that you want at all. And thus, I mean, if you're writing CAT in the second slot, I would probably suggest you that you go ahead and practice a couple of RC passages in the morning of that day as well. Continue with vocabulary. And then you can choose to write 1 mock test this week. This asterisk basically says that, hey, do you want to write a mock in the run-up to the CAT exam? If you want to, go ahead, be my guest. If you don't want to, even if you skip it, I am not really going to chase you. Okay, so go ahead and stick to that. So if you want to, and even there, I'd strongly recommend that you do not write any mock a couple of days prior to the CAT exam, maybe 3 days, at least keep 3 days when you're focusing more on the mental aspects of writing the exam. You know, working more on managing the stress, thinking about the different strategies that can be employed depending upon the kind of paper that you get. So those things. And that will eventually take you to your D-Day, which is 30th of November. We will share more and more things with you in the run up to it. I mean, if you remain active here on YouTube, you'd see that we'd give you truckloads of practice anyway, so you can benefit from that. And once the CAT exam is done, I mean, it's not exactly week 17, that'll be week 15 for us. I'll just correct this on the fly. So in this week 15, you will come back for the analysis of the exam, and then there are going to be more sessions on OMATs. We'd of course have OMAT sessions prior to the CAT as well, but then there are going to be quite a few more sessions on OMATs specifically targeting SNAP and ZAT in the month after the CAT exam. And that's basically about it. So this is a thought that I thought I would want to leave you with. Like a river carving its path through stone, you also need to then go ahead and persevere in order to become the best version of yourself. Okay, so that's basically to help you carry on till the CAT exam. So अभी से शुरू करें preparation तो क्या होगा? Sujal, if you're starting your preparation today, then you can deliver a performance which is consistent with 3 months of effort, right? So your goal is to give your best over the course of next 92 days. This is the 93rd day from the CAT. So over the course of next 92 days, you can, if you give your best, you'd have preparation worth 92 days. And thankfully, it's an aptitude exam. So if you are already carrying quite a few of these aptitudes, remember aptitude is a natural ability. So if you already carry that natural ability, with you, then chances are that you may get a very favorable result. Otherwise, you'll at least be able to sleep well that you went on to do your best over these 92 days. And that will definitely be helpful for you. Okay. So any other question as of now at this juncture? Any books or newspapers for RC? You can actually go ahead and follow Juhi ma'am's videos. She's already shared about these things in great detail, and even if I talk about it right now, it's going to be very concise. Those videos, on the other hand, will give you a rather lengthy detail. Okay, so go ahead, watch that, and Ruby, that will give you a very thorough answer of your question. So that's it from me today. In case you happen to have any more questions, you know there's this Telegram group called VARC by Vikrant sir. Just put underscore in between all the words that you have in this name, and it's a public group. You'd, of course, you can join me there, and we can carry on this discussion there. Netra says, sir, feeling so burnt out. Now see, if you're genuinely burnt out because you've put in a lot of effort, by now it's always a wise idea to take a 2-day, 3-day, 4-day break. That does miracles, but only for those who have genuinely been studying a lot. If you're burnt out for some other reasons, then this strategy may not work for you. So I can talk about it more when we meet each other. Now, Parth has a very interesting question. Is EON enough? No. I don't know, we have hyped up, and I think my fraternity, VARC Teachers Fraternity, is responsible. EON is a very good resource, but then we need to, remember, we need to bring in diversity in a reading. As I generally call it, your reading should be extensive and eclectic. And by eclectic, I mean that you need to read different genres. You need to read different sources. If you're sticking to just one source, never a wise idea. In fact, if I remember it correctly, I created a video talking about best reading sources. It's available on this very channel. Go ahead, check it out after you watch this video, and you'd realize that there are quite a few other websites, and I have taken it a step further. I've actually gone ahead and talked about, within each one of those websites, what are those areas that I personally prefer reading. So hopefully that will help you even more. Okay, so Parth, check that video out. It's a short video, and you'd get a rather comprehensive answer to your question then. So that's where I stop today. I'll see you guys in the next one, and until then, keep making sure that you remain regular here. Take care. Have a great evening ahead, and I'll see you soon.